Good morning, Facebook opera friends. How are you doing? Did you get a chance to see any Pagliacci or Cavalleria Rusticana yesterday? Or now we have Werther. Okay, so the pronunciation, which naturally I would get wrong in any circumstance, in opera world they say Werther, very pronouncedly Werther. And when I learned it in school, I was reading the book, which was, Goethe is a German author, so they would say it with the German, Werther. So, whatever. Basically, whatever. I've been having a hard time with my relationship with this guy, my, almost entire adult life. It was the first thing we read in freshman year in college. As you can see, it's sunny today. We have a lot of bright light behind us, which isn't great for video, but we'll take it while it's happening, right? And Zubin wants to say hello. Yes? Okay. So in high school, the first thing we read was The Sorrows of Young Werther. Why you would pick this book, which even Goethe did not like, in the end, he was like, he tried to distance himself from this book, which gave him a lot of fame. I don't get it. I don't get why the choice of The Sorrows of Young Werther for people who are 17 years old. In its day, this book was banned for having supposedly caused copycat suicides and this whole cult of Werther, of, being very poetic and sensitive and wanting a woman that you couldn't have, I guess, and then killing yourself. And I found him irritating then, and it's just a constant going on and on. If you read the book, he's like, oh, he's going on and on. And I think the key, which I didn't understand when I was 17, is the word young. The sorrows of young Werther. He is young, he does not have perspective, and he obviously has some mental problems, which would hopefully today be solved or at least relieved with a little medication. It's probably manic depression. I mean, I don't know. I wish a psychologist could analyze Werther for me, because he's got a lot of problems. He's very sensitive. He doesn't have the ability to sort of step back and see what's happening, and he's obsessive. He's obsessed with this love for Charlotte, and she loves him too, apparently, which I didn't really catch the first time reading it. But that scene between them goes on and on and on with this poetry translation that they're reading together, and then they embrace. I mean, it takes a long time to get there, and when they have that embrace, it does seem like this love is very intense. And then I didn't also get at the end of the book. Okay, spoilers. Okay. The end of the book, it says when they're told that he's killed himself, that she drops to the floor and faints. And then it says in the final sentences, it says her life was despaired of, which I guess means, thank you Wikipedia for telling me this, because college didn't exactly do it, which exactly means that she supposedly is going to die of a broken heart. But, I didn't get that the first time. Her life was despaired of, meant nothing to me. And, okay, so if it wasn't great enough to be the first thing we read in college, I took a course called Romantic Literature, in my junior year of college. Obviously, totally clueless of the fact that romantic literature has nothing to do with romance as we American 20th century people think of romance. Love and it's all very dark. Romantic literature is more what we would think of in our heads as gothic, supernatural, dark things happening. So I take this class and I have to read Werther again. And then when I came around to opera and found that there was a Werther opera, come on. Why do I have to deal with this guy? He's annoying. I couldn't get over him. I know I should have compassion, but he does go on and on and on and can't snap out of it to be happy for like 1 second, which is terribly uncompassionate of me. So I keep trying to improve my relationship with Werther because I feel bad that I am sort of annoyed by him. But anyway, the opera does have gorgeous music, and I think it works better as an opera than it does as a very hard to deal with book. It's easy to read. It's just there's so much emotion in it that it's hard to just process. So anyway, Werther it was a fantastic, interesting individual. A lot of writing, fiction and nonfiction, and you can read about him on Wikipedia. We have we had for the longest time a statue in the park of Werther. It was just a bust, and it's on a little plinth that says Werther on it, and I don't know where it came from or who put it there. But recently, well, in the last like 3 years, the head was stolen. We assume by the people who take scrap metal in to melt down and get money for it. Because or someone who really loves Werther has this head in their house, which I hope. I hope that it's still in someone's house and someone's enjoying it and not that somebody melted down Werther's poor head. So now we have a plinth that says Werther. Whatever. So the opera. Lisette Oropesa is the bright spot in this opera because everything else is a bit heavy with emotion, and she is bright springtime. She gives the balance to all the sort of heavy love stuff that's going on. She is light and life itself. So if you're gonna pop through scenes, be sure to catch her. And then that sort of end letter reading scene is great. In this production, Charlotte ends by picking up the gun, and you think she's going to kill herself, which I guess is just an expedient way to show that final, they thought she died of a broken heart thing. She's already in trouble in this opera because, okay, she comes in and he's shot himself, and he's already shot himself. And she's like, I'll go get help, and he's like, no. Okay, so we don't exactly have forensic science in these days. When the authorities finally come, they're going to think she shot him. So that's one part of the opera that, it's not going to end well. So, just as well, I guess, if she shoots herself. I don't know. But anyway, I don't know why in college they would make you read this book that was banned for causing copycat suicides amongst young people who are passionate and young and have no perspective and a lot of passion. And it's like, why would they make you read this thing? I don't know. But I read Faust a few years later and thought that was much better. And some Goethe fairy tale type things, which were... I had a feeling there was more to them, and I still haven't, feel like my brain has not reached the enlightenment to understand them, but they're still an enjoyable read. So I like Goethe, and often when people are like, oh, you should play this new video game, I'm like, who has time to play video games? You should be reading more Goethe. If you have time to play a video game, read some Goethe, watch some opera. So anyway, that is today's opera, Werther. And and as the one source book, totally prepared for opera in that Werther takes 12 hours to die. So the like 12 minutes they give him to die in the opera is actually kind of a nice edited death. But it is beautiful. Just, I came into it with like a bad attitude because, like I said, I've been dealing with this guy since high school, college, first year of college, and I'm trying to have compassion for him. I read it again before I saw the opera, and that was when I understood that when you are young and having kind of the same emotions as Werther, you're like, you have less compassion for him, I think, because you're like, I have all those emotions. No one's having compassion for me. So why do I got to read about this guy and his unending like obsessive love that he's never going to have. I mean, right when you know she's like engaged to another guy, just back off. Again, no patience, no compassion. I'm a bad person. Just can't have it for Werther. I guess we're just never going to get along. But Jonas Kaufmann's great, so enjoy that. It does hold together well as an opera. I think the book, there's a lot more that happens than they show in the opera. Hey Jessica, oh, you read Faust sophomore year and your teacher thought you were weird. I loved Faust. And the Faust Part 2, which Goethe wrote right by his death, right before his death, it's all sort of an allegory. But I always come across fantastic quotes of Goethe that I like want to scribble down and remember, because it just, once you get into the rhythm of the poetry that he's writing, it's great. It takes a little while to sort of get the pace of it, but it's great. So I guess Faust, if you go on the Met site, they've got next week's schedule up, and there will be a Faust next week, commonly known as the radioactive zombie Faust, but we'll talk more about that next week. Tonight is The Tempest, which is based on Shakespeare, but I've never read The Tempest, so I guess I should hit some synopses and get an idea of what it is all about. Simon Keenly side stars, which is fabulous, and I missed it at the theater, and it's going to be a great opportunity to check it out. So 6:30 till 6:30 you have Werther, then changes over to The Tempest. And I'm wearing the Werther bracelet here. There's blues, but there's lots of hearts and leaves because he's into nature. And maybe I should take it off. I never know the best way to show these things. Let's let it settle. Okay. So our charms are a tree because he wants to be buried under... Oh, Zubin, are you going to help demonstrate? So now I have a cat on the table. So the tree represents his love of nature and his desire to be buried under the linden trees. The heart with the hole in it just represents this love that can never happen. He does not actually shoot himself through the heart. He shoots himself in the head, which was a great attempt, but that didn't work out so well for the poor guy. At least, you know, he suffers even trying to kill himself, the poor guy. And the letters between he and Charlotte that she cannot bear to destroy in the opera. And in the, I think that scene's in the book as well. So that is the Werther bracelet. So if you are incredibly moved and not discompassionate and like me. Zubin, could you get off the table? Thank you. What's going on? So I hope that you'll get a chance to explore these operas, which are very different from each other, right? So, oh, Nina says she loves Faust too. I am glad we love Faust because I think, you know, Faust was, Goethe was still pretty young when he wrote the first part of Faust, but I think it's a much better work than Werther. Werther just seems incredibly self-indulgent, which I think is what he felt when he grew up, because he did base it on his own sort of love for a woman that he couldn't have. But I think another part of Werther that I just kind of felt and discovered this morning was he witnesses a murder, a murder of passion. Not witnesses, but he's close to the people involved. And he's concerned about his own descent into perhaps madness and violence. And he would rather take himself out of the situation than end up killing her or her husband or all of them. So, you know, in a way that is kind of a noble thing, because it's not like there'll be, I don't know. There's a lot to Werther that it's not as simple as it looks. So we read these stories in the paper every day. It's not like it never happens that passion and love cause violence. So it is got a sense of reality to it, which maybe we don't always want in opera. we want to escape, but we'll escape tonight with the Tempest and Werther for some reality. And like, if you have a psychology degree, I mean, Werther must be like a field day to analyze this guy. There's so much meat to it, especially in the book of, you know, what he's going through. He writes a lot of letters. The book is told through letters of his. And like I said, he goes through a lot more than just this unrequited love in the book. So if you've got time, maybe you will get more out of the book than I did. And I just don't think it's a great choice for your first thing in college. I think it's a really poor choice for that. But I think as older people, we might have more compassion for, you know, what he's going through and the fact that there's no medication or treatment for it. And, you know, we all kind of understand those emotions he's going through, the love, the obsession, the sadness. But it's like, come on. If he would have just, like, gone for her sister, perhaps, you know. I don't know. It seemed like there was the obvious solution was that he would be with Charlotte and Albert could have been with her sister, who was also, you know, seems to be of marrying age. But no, then there would be no story. Okay, I'm going to let you go. So you'll have time to read Werther and the Tempest, right? Okay, have a good day.